another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached into heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even if she has rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works. And the cup which she filled to her double.
Shalom, shalom Israel. First thing first, like to give all praise, glory, and honor to the Most High God YHWH, in the name of His only begotten Son YHWH, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. This is the brother YHWH from 12 Gates Israelite School in the Inland Empire, coming out to teach you, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, hopefully a little bit on the understanding of what's really in the Bible and about our true nationality according to our book, the book that was given by the Most High God, inspired by the Most High God YHWH. True name is Yahweh. Today I kind of want to get into who are the Israelites today? Because as we read this book, we can actually come to the conclusion that it's written to Israelites, by Israelites, and for Israelites. And yet when we, like as for me, coming out of the other institutions as Christianity and such religions, nobody has ever told me, has come and addressed the fact of who the Israelites are today. The Israelites of the Bible, not those Israelites that are in the land today. So I've had a lot of questions, and upon some understanding, hopefully I can kind of make it understanding to y'all. I've come up with a couple scriptures to kind of make a point of who the Israelites are today. Because like I said, first and foremost, we just need to open up this book and go to the beginning of almost every single one, and we could find, it's just like a letter today. We could find who it was written to, by who it was written to, and to who. Like I'll start, I'm gonna start with Ecclesiastes 4:16 first. Ecclesiastes 4:16, because this, just by knowing already that that the people of this book will not change the heritage. No matter how many times you could change a people's name, we can find the truth in this book of each person, actually, not just the Israelites. We can kind of make a conclusion of who the other people are also. And by such, I'm going to start with Salakia, as I said, Ecclesiastes 4:16, and which reads, the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 4, verse 16. There is no end of all the people, even of all that have been before. They also that come after shall not rejoice in him. Surely this also is vanity and vexation of the spirit. So the verse says, there is no end of all the people, even of all that have been before them. Who is the them? Like an example is us today. There is no end of people. So we today are related to, come from the dissension, come from the lineage of the people that are actually in the Bible. Israelites, the Amalekites, the Canaanites, the Edomites, all those people are still walking upon the earth today. We just don't realize who each is, because we've come to these we've been put in a state of sleep by the Most High, and also by the people here, that feed us all these lies constantly of changing our name every so often, every so many years. That's just for us, like the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, as I said from the beginning. The message is actually only going to make sense to them. So, if there's no end of all people, and then we can go into this book and actually get an understanding by what is written of each people, we can kind of get an understanding of who these people are, these people are today anyways. So by that, I'm going to go first and foremost, just to get context and just understanding, as I said before, like every one of these books was written by an Israelite to an Israelite, for an Israelite also. We'll start at Deuteronomy, which was one of the books from the law. And very first chapter verse states, these be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel on this side of the Jordan. And as I said before, most of these books are going to start as such and such is speaking to so and so, a beloved of Israel, a beloved. There's no. Most letters are going to start that way. So we get that context that, as it said before, there's no end of all people. So as we read this letter today, we got to understand that it's still being written to the Israelites. The message is in here is for the Israelites. So they must still be here today in this world, right? Come on. So we're going to go, actually, we'll stay in the book of Deuteronomy, go to 7 and 6. Just to state, just a simple fact also about the Most High and the people that he, how he, out of the 18 nations that he made, how one certain nation is going to be excels over, that should excel above every other nation. So, as we read in Deuteronomy 1 and 1, whatever I read in Deuteronomy is going to be written to the Israelites, correct? So we're going to move forward into the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verses 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. So now it's getting personal here. It said, thou art. It's not speaking to everybody. I read in 1 and 1 again in Deuteronomy. Its context is Israel. Right here, the Most High is saying, thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God, the Most High YHWH, has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself. So out of those 18 nationalities that appear in this Bible, it states here that he has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself. That already should kind of, make your skin crawl and kind of be jealous of a certain people if it's not you. And we're going to come to find out that it is the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans just by reading on. So it says, special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So there's a people walking around here that are above every other nation of people that, have better attributes that are not equal to. As much as this world tries to teach us that we're equal, and the word of the Most High teaches us that there is a nation that is above all. It cannot be superseded, but yet, through what we're going to read, and by understanding who the Israelites are today, we're going to see who that chosen nation is. Because as it says, the Most High chose somebody. He chose somebody, and so for that instance, he's gonna deal with them according to his will. And because his will is for this people that he has chosen, we're gonna go into Amos 3 and 2. Amos 3 and 2, to where we can kind of see exactly, because as we look around, we notice that not everybody is living in the same condition, in the same state of being. As the Most High said, that we're not equal. But yet this world tries to teach us equal, and as our eyes can see clearly, while we live in this calamity of a world, we can see not everybody is equal. And we're going to read Amos 3 and 2, which clearly shows us. The book of Amos, chapter 3 and verse 2 states, therefore, Salakim, 3 and 2. You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Once again, just as he chose a special people, right here, he's saying that he's only basically dealing with with those people, because only them he knows. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. So that's the way that he's going to deal with this. As I read in Deuteronomy 1:1, Moses gave the Israelites words, not words, like it gave them laws, statutes, and commandments from the Most High for those people to carry on. Now we just read another verse here that says that he has only known the family of the Israelites of the earth, and therefore will he punish them and nobody else. Like I saying, there's all these other nations we see upon the earth. Not everybody's living in the same condition, state of being, same mindset even. We can clearly see that within certain nations of people and their conditions, as I said. Why is that? Because apparently the Most High is only dealing with certain people. When we see people in these conditions, we kind of got to look at ourselves and ask ourselves, who are these people that are in these conditions? And why are they going through these conditions? You can go to Deuteronomy 15 or 28 and 15 and get that answer, because not everybody is in the same condition, state of being. The Most High has chosen people, and of course he's gonna as he said, he's only gonna deal with a certain group, a certain family upon the earth. And we could see that punishment being made. These punishments are also called another thing in the book. We're going to read that right now. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou, as we read earlier, the book of Deuteronomy is just for the Israelites. But it shall come to pass, so it's going to happen, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. So there's our instruction as Israelites, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So if we don't do these curses, if we don't do these commandments, statutes that we're going to get taught by Moses, we are going to be cursed. Would a punishment not be the same as a curse? I believe it can be. So we're going to go into some of these curses, because it's a way to identify these people. Like Most High said, he's only dealing with certain people. Like a punishment that he gives for certain people, you're not going to go see it on a different people. You understand what I'm saying? So, as I'm reading this whole from 16 to 68, there's a plethora of punishments that the Israelites were gonna come to pass if they did not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God and do his statutes and commandments. We're gonna go into 28 and 49. 28 and 49 in the book of Deuteronomy. And it states, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the ends of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Now, this we gotta know a little bit something about Israel, the two kingdoms, the northern and southern kingdom, how they were split. Now, there's gonna be people that come out here and be like, that only happened to certain people. But we can go through history, archaeology, and all that. We can find out who the actual northern kingdom and southern kingdom are, which are the Israelites, right? So it says here, and I can speak personally to this because I'm so-called a Mexican. We were conquered by the Spaniards. This is actual history that happened to my people, and today it's been brewing in my blood, because I can recognize who I am and know that somebody did this to my people. I know that and it only happened because the Lord had it happen, because we, as 15 said, we did not hearken. So it says, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far. And the nation of the Spaniards came from pretty darn far, from the other side of the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, from afar, from the ends of the earth, which would be considered another end of the earth, right? Because this is a hemisphere, that's a hemisphere, so it's another end of the earth. As swift as the eagle flies, and you know, not funny, but it's what a coincidence that that terrorist nation that did come came with that flag, with an eagle on it. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. And as we were here as so-called Mexicans, we didn't understand their Spaniards. We were actually speaking a dialect of Hebrew over here. All praises the Most High. And yet they came without us knowing what they were saying, and they took over. It says, from afar, whose nation? And it continues, it says, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the new. And we could see that clearly in my personal history, that these terrorists never came with good intentions. First and foremost, never came over here to be equal. They'd already gone through our book, and actually knew that we were over here and we were God's chosen people. We're going to be living good, because our first notion when we came over here was to come and do good. But then we started doing bad. We started going off again. We started being like, when the kingdom split. So Most High had to bring these people, like as he said, as a punishment for us. And we know that they didn't show no favor. They weren't cool with us. They didn't want to share in our, we had an empire here as Aztecs. We had floating gardens. We had pyramids. We had our archaeology that they could not reproduce. To this day, they can't even reproduce what we've accomplished here, But they want to say aliens did it. Good luck with that. Anyway, so that's an example of how the Israelites are here today still, because we could see through history, archaeology, that there are certain people, me, who went through this, right? And we can see how we just by them coming, we've gone through such destruction. We've gone through such destruction. We go to the book of Isaiah. Isaiah 42:22. Oh, praise right there. Isaiah 42:22, which says, but this is a people robbed and spoiled. Talking about the Israelites. How we were going to be a people robbed and spoiled. And they are all of them snared in holes. They are all hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivereth for a spoil, and none says restore. And go through that slowly. The Most High is calling us today a people robbed and spoiled. We've been robbed of everything. We don't have our actual last names. We don't have our actual names, period. We don't speak our native tongue. We don't even know our history. If we really want to ask anybody, we just go back to supposedly the Aztecs, but then that's all we know. They don't like to teach us about the great things that we did as Aztecs even. That's how scared these people are of what we've actually accomplished in this world, because what the Most High called us a holy people. We're not even equal to them. We're above. So just knowing that, how could you tell me we didn't build those pyramids? We didn't have no floating islands that Abu Dhabi or whatever that is over there is trying to recreate again. And they're failing at that. They haven't engineered it just to the way we had it in our days of the great empire, the Aztecs. We're robbed and spoiled. All that was taken from us. Now we're what? Now they are snared in holes. We're snared in holes. We try to, they call it a caravan that's coming from South America, supposedly all the way up here. This is migration our people used to do. And just in general. But now we are snared in holes. Now what do they got across? Now they got a so-called border. Now they got a line. But we didn't come up with that line. Some terrorists came. They called themselves a pilgrim. Came and did all this. Their manifest destiny, supposedly. They had the authority to do all this. And they did what? They are hidden prison houses. Now today, these Israelites, they're going to be hidden prison houses. What's a prison house? A prison house. A fucking pen. Salakia. The pen. The clink. The upstate. Who fills that? What majority of the people fill those institutions? The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's by design. As we can see here, this was God said this to be. Then he brought these people over to execute that punishment on us, So what if this doesn't tell us we have to change already, man, I don't know what does. Hidden prison houses, and they are for a prey. As I said, we're for a prey. Who gets kidnapped the most? Who gets shot down the most? This right here should show you exactly who the Israelites are here today in this so-called new world where we're living here. And none delivereth for a spoil. And none delivereth. Nobody's delivered us. We've had Cesar Chavez try to come help us. We've had the Black Panthers, the Brown Berets, all these. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. We've had plenty of people that have tried to deliver us from this captivity, from this oppression. They can't do it because they didn't come correct with this book, with what the Most High said to actually accomplish that achievement that they tried to do. And none says restore. Nobody came and said restore, and it happened. Nothing like that is ever going to happen until the Most High, until His select seal gets sealed, and He is able to come back and just make His kingdom, make His kingdom appear. So we're a people robbed and spoiled. But you know what? And as I pointed a little bit earlier, these people know who we are. That's why they came over here. I'm going to read that in Ezekiel. Oh, praise the Most High. Ezekiel 39 and 23. 39 and 23. Because as I said before, these people knew that the Most High would punish us. They picked us. Just like somebody can go into your mailbox today and steal your mail, these people have gone throughout history and opened this book, even though it wasn't written for them, even though it wasn't for them, just to figure out how to get over on us. We've never actually put a lock on it. We've actually never made a point of telling people whose book this is. But we are now. As Israelites, as 12 Gate School, we tell them, I'm going to tell everybody that this is not your book. This is our book. This book is written to, for, and is for Israelites. There ain't nothing they could tell me that's going to come out of here that pertains to anybody else but them or their judgment, Regardless, we going to read how these people knew, or how they know. As I said, they've opened up our book, they've read it, they've come upon ideas. The Most High told us not to transgress the laws. What do? They come with, vainglorious things that can make us transgress simple things, like making things delicatessens that really aren't. It's food. The Most High never told us to eat. And how do they know? Ezekiel 39, 23. And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity. So these people have seen since the days of Egypt how the Most High has been our power, our Savior, our person that gets us out of whatever condition we're in if we do His will. Which is what? Follow His laws, statutes, and commandments. But these people have seen it. There's accounts in here that tell us that these people would not come and even pick a fight with us because they knew we were living righteously. As a nation, they would say, no, we can't go up against them. They're living, their God is watching them right now. But let us defile them. Let us, defile them. Let us bring transgress. Let us bring iniquity into their being. That is the only way they could get over us, as it says right here. And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity. So what are they going to try to do to us again? They're going to try to keep us in this iniquity. Because they trespassed against me, not against them. I mean, they'll put us in jail for their stupid little laws, but they're actually only here because the Most High sent them because we transgressed against Him. Therefore hid I my face from them, and gave them into the hand of their enemies. So now we see, as we look around, and I'll just say it, we Israelites, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because there's no other reason why I myself am going through these punishments. Since my birth, I didn't do nothing wrong, but our nation has, and now we're living that. And now I do wrong, because there's instances that says even our generation today is doing worse than what we've done before. We trying to clean this up as 12 Gates Israelite School. We trying to clean up our nation. We trying to get ourselves correct. We trying to come back to who we really are, the 12 tribes of Israel. God's holy chosen people. So right now we're living in the hand of our enemies. In the hand of our enemies, who know why we are in their captivity, and actually have a blueprint on how to hold us in this captivity. But they don't know we have that blueprint too. And we actually know the outcome of this whole thing. We actually know the outcome of this whole thing. And why are we going through this? We can go into the book of Daniel. Daniel 9 and 11. Daniel 9 and 11, which reads, Yea, all Israel have transgressed my law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of the Most High God, because we have sinned against Him. And since we have sinned against Him, how are we supposed to get up ahead, or get above this punishment? And I don't know how many times I said it again. I might probably sound like a broken record, but laws, statutes, and commandments are key. There's nowhere you're going to turn the Bible and not learn about laws, statutes, and commandments of what we as Israelites are supposed to do. People, the Lord is only dealing with us. He's not, we don't, as I said before, we don't see our punishments. We don't see Asians at the border in cages, fathers and mothers separated from their children. We don't see that, but we see it in our people. We don't see, the Arabs walking around up and down with their hands up, don't shoot shit, They got it made here. We don't see, we could name them all. You can see this, even the Swiss, the fucking Slovakians, the Ukrainians. We see them, this country just let in or gave them another trillion dollars again. Billions or trillions. Plus they let hundreds of thousands into this country. It's not even theirs. How are we supposed to, man, if we can't see that these curses and punishments are upon us, and that we the Israelites today, what else makes sense in your life? To me, I could keep probably going for longer, but I don't know. This what came to this. It came to my spirit and mind for the moment. But Israel, acknowledge who we are. Come back to who our true nationality, to who we truly are. And I'm gonna end with Ecclesiastes 12 and 13, because what is our whole duty? What is our, it's just simple. It's just simple. But we are those stiff-necked people that the Most High has got to keep dealing with, has got to keep sending these punishments till one day He gonna open up our eyes, show us the right punishment, to where we're gonna say, man, He been dealing with me and me alone, with our people and our people alone. So how do we change this condition, Israel? This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and verse 13. let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. So after everything, we found out we're the Israelites, that we have enemies, we're living around our enemies. What is the conclusion of the whole matter? Fear God, the Most High God Yahweh, and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. And we can also go to 1 John 5 and 3, because man, if we hear this all the time with the Christians, is I love God, He loves me too. But if we can actually love Him and show Him how we do that, which states in 1 John 5 and 3, for this is the love of God. This is how we show God our love. Because He shows us love by punishing us. And hopefully we learn and get out of that condition. This is how we actually show Him that we love Him. For this is the love of God, the Most High Yahweh, that we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not grievous. We will get into some of these commandments later on, and some of them we do them just naturally, and they're so simple. But again, we have these enemies around us. We have these people that know how to keep us in sin, how to keep us in transgression and iniquity, so that they're on top, instead of us being those chosen ones that are above all people. We need to come back and live to that, Israel. The water for listening. Hope this cleared a little bit on somebody's mind or whatever. And until next time, Shalom.